do you want with me?
You will be haunted by 3 spirits. I'd rather not.
Nero, it's that magical time of year again.
Halloween?
No, we did that month already.
Thanksgiving?
No, the other one.
Arbor Day?
The one with all the snow on the ground.
Talk like a pirate day? National Penguin Day.
Yes, it's National Penguin Day. Here in December, it's a special Christmas time for ToonGrin and Watchin stuff. Because for the next 12 days, we're going to be doing a bunch of Christmas, December, and all sorts of other movies and all that.
Because you're worth it, people. We're willing to sit down and burn ourselves out and do painstaking editing to sit and talk to you about 12 movies.
Yep. The first one we decided on was going to be like a big one that people talked about when it first came out. Because it had Jim Carrey in it. It was about a Christmas Carol. And it's a Christmas Carol.
You notice there are... Oh no, wait, there totally are Christmas carols in the Christmas Carol. We saw people singing at one point, didn't we?
Yeah.
He was just like, hey, screw you and your singing. You're the fat one's the loudest.
Crash him with my cane.
Oh man. The best way to sum up this movie is... It's loud! The movie's like very loud. Everything is very, very loud. Everything is up here when it really should be about here. But it's not. It's about here.
Yeah, it's just a very loud movie. And that's just...
Is it loud?
Yeah, it's loud. So I still don't like loud. You don't get to be loud. Not at all. I rebuke that right from you. Like I rebuked right from the movie. Because it needs to shut up.
It's funny, like, okay, for those who don't know, which I'd say it should be impossible, but everyone's Christmas Carol is somebody's first.
Yeah.
But The Christmas Carol is a timely classic written by Charles Dickens. It's the story about a miserly wealthy man named Ebenezer Scrooge who basically, he focused so much more on business and on wealth that he...
became an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's the story.
You're not wrong. That's basically the premise. It's a story about some guy who became an asshole.
There you go. And basically one day on the anniversary of his business partner Jacob Marley dying, he's visited by Jacob Marley, who basically tells him like, you gotta stop this. Whoa.
Scrooge, y'all need to stop being a dick, son. You need to like cool it.
Yep.
You're up here, and you need to be here.
And so Jacob Marley tells him that you're going to be visited by 3 spirits throughout the night. On the hour. And they'll just freak you out until you basically got the Christmas spirit just right up in you.
Yeah, basically A Christmas Carol is the first Scared Straight program to ever exist. The idea was like, I see how it is. You think you can do anything, huh? You think you can screw the poor out of donations and the hell with kids that are crippled? You think you're something? You're nothing. You're garbage, Scrooge. You're garbage. And you keep going down this path you're doing. Calm down. Listen to me, Scrooge. You keep going down this path you're going, you're gonna go straight to hell in the grave.
I need an adult.
I am an adult. I'm a ghost. Do you love Christmas yet?
No.
Do you love Christmas yet?
No.
Do you love Christmas yet?
There you go.
Okay. Actually, that's this movie in a nutshell because every spirit is like freaking up here.
Yeah, it's just super loud and each and every single one. And we got
everything. Like, okay, it's animated by Robert Zemeckis' company. For those of you guys who don't know, Robert Zemeckis did Polar Express, Mars Needs Moms, and I'm sure he did other crap that I can't currently remember right now off the top of my head. The point is, oh my god, that movie's terrible.
Yeah.
That would also be might be good for a watch and stuff. Comment about that below. The point is, the dude's done a lot of garbage, in my opinion. You know, I don't like his movies, and it comes down to this. he has this weird thing, like this weird boner for animation, where he's like, animation could be so good if it just looked like real life.
Yeah, basically his animation styles basically make it so sort of picturesque, perfect, basically almost lifelike and all that. And that basically just gives people all just sort of an uncanny valley sort of effect and all that. Because in a lot of ways, uncanny valley is just like the traditional thing, like basically something that looks not real enough, basically makes it look even weirder.
But basically the idea is like, it's trying to look real,
yeah,
but your brain knows it's not, so your brain is like telling you, like, you're looking at something, and you're thinking, oh, that looks pretty real. And in the back of that head, it's like, hey,
yeah,
you know it's not real, right? Look, like the shading's off, and skin texture's not right. I mean, you can clearly tell it's not real.
Get out, cricket. Yeah. But like for me with Robert Zemeckis' movies, like I never really felt that sort of uncanny valley sort of effect. They definitely do look off and all.
Really, have you seen them all? Did you ever see Mars Needs Moms?
No, I've never seen Mars Needs Moms. From just your review of it, it's definitely worse than that one, mostly because the models were even poorer in that one.
Are you referring to the aliens or the humans?
Both.
Yes. just yes.
And this one especially, well, all the other basically characters besides Scrooge basically looked all freaky and all that.
Scrooge looked freaky.
Yeah. Well, basically he's just so basically like his huge chin and all that. He's basically almost like an old grungy cartoon character, like.
Well, especially because for some reason, and I don't know if I could fully put this on Zemeckis. I don't know how much Jim Carrey had in terms of influence, but like, there's a remarkable amount of like slapstick and pratfalling from Scrooge, who's like, he looks like he's already at death's door when the movie begins. Like that slip he takes on the stairway in the very opening. It's like, oh well, Scrooge is dead. Merry Christmas, everyone. He didn't learn any lesson. Oh well.
It would have been funny. Ice his steps.
It would have been funny if he was like laying there and he's dead, and three ghosts just show up and it's like, oh, thanks, Jacob. Now what are we supposed to do? Hey, man, I didn't know he'd be such a puss. Thanks, Jacob. Thanks for. We can't teach him to be better if he's dead.
Yeah.
If he's dead, he can't learn nothing.
It's sort of that, because there is just sort of the overly cartoony nature that just comes along with Jim Carrey and such. But we've seen Jim Carrey do like a lot of other like more dramatic sort of stuff, so he can be able to do it.
Name one.
Like I believe it's Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. He was in that one. He was actually really good in that one.
Did you ever see I think it's called The Number 23?
No, I haven't seen that one.
If I'm remembering it correctly, it's been a long time, so I don't know if I'm totally remembering a different actor in the role. Yeah. But I could have swore it was Jim Carrey, and it had like a really cool mystery element to it, and he played the drama really well. And the thing is, I think he can play. It's not that he can't play drama.
Yeah, because I feel like the brief moments underlined.
Brief?
Yeah, when he can actually play the role very quiet and all that. Like, he can pull off the Scrooge thing very well, I feel. It's just all at the same time. The writer basically likes to put in the little Jim Carrey bits and all that. Because you gotta make Scrooge funny like Jim Carrey and all that.
It's a Christmas Carol. It's such a classic. And here's the thing, I'm not against trying to shake it up, because it's been remade a lot.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, okay, it's what, 2018 now?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, there have already been multiple remakes of it by now.
Yeah, of course there has.
There has to be.
Yeah, like so the years and all that, like the 60s, 70s, 80s, there have been like countless remakes and countless like forms and all that. Countless animated forms. Like one that I just popped in my brain is all that, like one where Scrooge was a skunk in one of them. Yeah.
I want to watch that one.
You don't. It looked really bad. Worse.
Get out of Baghdad! Worse!
Yeah, it looked worse than that by leagues and bounds than this. At least this one is like well textured and all that. At least it's like interesting to look at. But that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about it maybe some other time. But yeah, like this is at least I do like the visuals in sort of a broad sense. I don't like any of the character models and all that, except for Scrooge. I do like just sort of like the overly cartoony way he basically looks.
But that's why he doesn't work though, because like nobody else feels as cartoony as he does in terms of his like aesthetic. Like he's got the hook nose and like the I call it the Joker chin because a lot of times when certain people draw the Joker, he's got a much more pronounced chin line.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, he sure looks like Ebenezer Scrooge. Everything about this says Ebenezer Scrooge.
Everything else just says like a bunch of weird meat puppets just dancing about.
Yeah, and like I like a lot of the ideas they got going on. Like, okay, the first spirit shows up and it looks like a candle.
Yeah.
That sounds great, and then you see it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work because it's basically they do basically this other neat idea where basically each of the ghosts is basically just sort of has sort of the face of Ebenezer Scrooge or Jim Carrey, as I should say.
It bleeds through a lot more with the first two, like Christmas Past and Present. You could see the Jim Carrey in the face, but like Ebenezer Scrooge, you don't really see the Jim Carrey too much.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing is like I think part of what just kills this art style too is it's all in the eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes look too glossy and fake. Whereas like if you check out games like the new God of War, Dad of War, if you look at that, like Kratos looks like a real person, but he looks fine. He doesn't look too uncanny.
Yeah.
But then like his kid looks and that's the thing is like the first spirit just is creepy looking, and I would argue that shouldn't be the intent for the Christmas Carol because like the first two spirits especially are supposed to be kind of endearing to us.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like the third one's supposed to be like the intimidating one.
And that one's the least intimidating because of how ridiculously cartoonish it looks. Like when his hand comes out.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just go from just spirit to spirit.
Okay, so let's start with Jacob Marley. And this is where, by the way, I think the movie first starts to trip before it just heads down a stairwell of like eternal flipping.
Yeah, because Marley's supposed to be basically the first friend and all that. Basically supposed to be like the first guilt trip of just the whole night for Scrooge.
Yeah, like the whole point of the chains were like, these are the chains he made in life because of his greed and his avarice and his cruelty.
Yeah, these are what hold me down.
Yeah, and that's why he's like chained to his money boxes because it's like this is what you cared about more than anybody else. So of course it couldn't be something simple. It has to also be up to 11.
So you basically have like big bells going like,
which I kind of swore when it originally happened. It was just like a chime.
Oh yeah, it's when it originally happened, like the books and all.
Most of the versions I see of that when they do that scene, it's just like chime, and it just sort of spooks him because there's a chime just going off, and that's it. It's like somebody's at the door.
Yeah, then he hears like either footsteps or just like something dragging along the ground and all that. That's his chain.
In this one, they have to like zoom in and out with the camera, and all the bells are going. And Scrooge is just like, like freaking, he's Jim Carreying it the hell up, and you're like, dude, it's a Christmas Carol.
Like, and this is just the beginning of it. Build up to that.
Like, is it gonna be like this for every ghost? Yes, every time.
And because Jacob Marley comes in with the money boxes, not just all like being like going through the walls and all that. It's basically like going through the wall, smashing through.
He's gotta like throw them at Scrooge, and Scrooge is like, man, I'm an old man,
and he has to make jokes and all that. It's like, could you sit down, please?
Yeah, because it's Jim Carrey, and it's weird because like there, and this is another thing Zemeckis got weird about with this movie. For some reason, he wanted to like scare the hell out of you. Like he wants you to know, this Christmas Carol is also a horror story. And it's like really wasn't that big of a horror story actually.
Yeah,
like,
because as well as Jacob Marley, like his basically lower jaw just comes off and all that, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah, like it like breaks and it's like flopping around. And at one point when he talks, he starts like going like this to talk. And then at one point he like tucks his nose into his mouth and ties his mouth closed. And you and I are sitting there and we're like, this is supposed to be like a sincere moment about him being told he's gonna have to deal with 3 spirits, and we're doing this weirdness.
Yeah.
This weird shtick.
Yeah, and then we also see just when Scrooge just looks out the door, he just sees a bunch of other just loud ghosts.
Oh yeah, because like he looks out the window and you see like all these different specters that are like chained to their money boxes.
Yeah.
And then like Scrooge is just like, ah, ghost, and you're like, oh my god. This is literally the first damn thing. Are we really going to be like this the whole movie? Move on to the Ghost of Christmas Past? Yeah. Everything's just loud.
Yeah, yeah, and it almost sets you up, like puts you off a little bit at first because, like, Past isn't loud at first. He's just got that slice of a technical voice to him and all that. Basically, make it sound like
For some reason, Jim Carrey played him with an Irish accent.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
And his face was like horribly implemented. It looked really bad.
Yeah, it was just floating on a flame, just like ooh wee.
And it's funny because I've seen other versions where like, it depends on which version you see, but some versions the first spirit's like a child that glows. It's supposed to basically invoke like almost like an angel or like a cherub.
Yeah, like we saw like just an instance of idea. We would just think is just like take the face off, just basically make him bright and just dim as he's talking.
Yeah, almost make it like an anthropomorphic candle or something.
Yeah,
and even then, what you could have done, that it could have been both kind of spooky but kind of charming. You could have made like a small child that looks like they have like chalk white skin, and like curly blonde hair that kind of looks like flames. So you still have that cherub kind of angelic quality to it, and still childlike, without it being too off-putting.
yeah.
But instead, this one, because it looks so poorly implemented, it's just like someone photoshopped the Jim Carrey face
Yeah.
onto that ball of fire.
Yeah, and then let's just put out that fire and just rocket Scrooge up into the sky, blast him around.
Because it's a candle, obviously it needs the thing that you put out candles with. So when Jim Carrey gets fed up with the spirit, because they take him through the past, and we go through all that malarkey, and we see, he was once like a sad. Oh God, remember Kid Scrooge?
Yeah.
Looked.
He just had big bug eyes.
I'm so sad and alone.
This is why your friends don't want to be around you.
And like he looks again, even like the design is just at an 11, where you're like,
Yeah.
Robert, this child isn't endearing at all. He has every right to be alone. He's hideous.
Yes, so that basically just he puts the cap on Christmas past, rockets him around,
I
and
hate that too. Like, it couldn't be something as simple as like he thinks he snuffs it out and he's just back in his room. It has to be puts it out, happy Ebenezer, then all of a sudden, pew, like a bottle rocket, and he goes up in the air, and then it's like the bright colors and sparkles, and then eventually just disappears. And for some reason, it's like dead silent. You just see him go over the moon, and you're like.
Like, maybe you could have toned it down a little bit.
Is Robert Zemeckis like trying to do an E.T. reference in A Christmas Carol? What the hell? And then the moment he gets home, like, he falls down, he lands back in his room, and like, there's the new one, the other ghost is just there. Like, there's no breathing room for him to be like,
Oh my God.
what was it? Hey man, I'm the second ghost.
And you want to see my magical thing? You were flooding around with past. Look at this, I can make the floor translucent. So now you can see through there.
It's like we're just like I almost like this idea because like he uses his like his brazier and he uses like the sparks from it and he makes the floor like a mirror into the present, and then like the house moves around like it's almost like a spaceship.
Yeah.
And we're seeing through the bottom of the floor. It's almost like those glass boats you see where you can get in the boat and they have a glass bottom, you can see all the things in the ocean. And it's like a cool idea, which is again, this movie has like cool ideas, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's weird because like the whole point is that when Scrooge meets that spirit, the second spirit, which is my personal favorite, when he talks to Scrooge, he says like, take hold of my robe and we could travel together. You don't leave the room that you manifested in, though. What's the point of holding your robe then? It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's only there then because it was in the book.
Because it basically is just sort of like one of those 3D moving rides and all that, where Scrooge is just like, oh, whoa,
This whole movie, 2009.
Yes, 3D craze.
It reeks of the 3D craze. Everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing has to be popping out, up in your face, and it feels like Zemeckis filmed it specifically in a way where it's like, people will have to buy the D-Box. They'll have to pay like 4 times as much the ticket price if you fully want to enjoy this film. And it's like, no, screw you.
It's just annoying like that.
How did I describe? I said something to you while we were watching. I described him to you where I said like, David Cage wishes he was a filmmaker, but he's just a game designer.
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis feels like he should be a game designer,
but he's making movies.
But he's making movies instead.
Yeah, basically the Goes to Christmas Present and all that basically just brings sort of my sort of critiques of the whole Christmas Carol and all that sort of stuff as well. Because Christmas Present, in any of the stories that I've really read or viewed and all that, doesn't really show the present in a lot of ways. He shows kind of the mild future or the mild past, all that. That could be a little bit nitpicky and all that, but it just almost takes away just from what Christmas Present's supposed to show.
No, I get it, because like technically if it was Christmas Present, it can't work. Because it would have been like, I will show you the present. Right, it's like 11 at night, everyone's like wake up, old man, I'm trying to teach you to enjoy life better.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why are you showing me a bunch of people sleeping? What am I supposed to take away from all this? I gotta level with you. I'm only on the clock for like the next hour. After that, I'm out of Dodge, so I don't care. I'm just checking in, I'm getting my paycheck, and I'm going home.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I know, but that's not even the movie's fault. That's just that's the story's fault.
That's the thing. Yeah, basically there is sort of problems with the actual Christmas Carol story as such, because this is basically doing it verbatim as well, almost to like a really bad extent.
Well, this is what I mean, where it's like you need to adapt or tweak things. Like
yeah, because there is sort of the next part of the whole present bit is where Scrooge sees his nephew and such. And they're all just doing like, oh, we're making fun of Scrooge and all that. Oh, he's an old crotchety sort of character. And I always thought, when I saw like a lot of the Christmas carols and all that, like he has his like worker Bob Cratchit and all that, and his family and all. Like little tiny Tim is sick and oh dear. And all.
The exploitive character.
God bless us, everyone.
God, Charles Dickens, could you have laid it any harder on, you hack?
Like that is like in a lot of ways, that could be a cute thing. That could be more than enough reason to want Scrooge to change and all that. But it basically takes away a lot from the Scrooge family element and all that. When like
to be fair, like they did a sucky job with that in this too. I mean,
of course they did a sucky job in this because they basically ripped it off just directly from that. No, they even did an even poorer job because like it's your point was basically the nephew comes in and is just like, hey Scrooge, you're not gonna hang out with me? How dare you? I'm out of here.
And even nephew Fred is up at 11. Like the only time where it almost works is where he's like, and Merry Christmas to you, Uncle, but it doesn't sound like he says it like in the versions I've seen where he does that. The reason why he's so loud and boisterous is because he's exuberant. He's very happy. He loves the season, so he always wants to spread that cheer with everyone. And the fact that his uncle's resentful of the season, he still embellishes it because it's like him saying like, I still hope you have some good time, Uncle, irregardless if you like it or not. But in this one, it's like, it almost sounds like he was like Christmasing him, where it's like, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas too, you old fart.
You're trying to ruin it for me, I'm just gonna ruin it for you.
Yeah, and you're just like, why nephew Fred? Like, he was one of the most endearing characters of that.
Yeah, I don't think that was probably intentional. I think that was just basically a bad voice acting decision.
Oh, I think that was Gary Oldman who played. No, Gary Oldman was I think he was Bob Cratchit.
Yeah,
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it was definitely a bad voice direction sort of decision that they gave him. Just giving that voice just almost like petty sort of way about him. Because everything else was just fine about his character and all that. But it's basically...
No, except for that one point where you and I were like, who is that? Was that nephew Fred? Like, we couldn't tell anymore by the third act.
I think that was just some random character. I don't really remember because that... We'll get to that. Basically, we had that sort of... That nephew scene. And then we had the Bob Cratchit scene with Tiny Tim introducing him. It's like, oh no, present. Is that little boy that I only known for like... a few minutes gonna die?
Yeah. They can't afford anything. You fucking cheapskate. They're poor, dude.
But look at that goose. It's actually a well-sized goose they got.
Because Robert Zemeckis is a hack, Scrooge. But by logic, that thing should have been actually very, very small. And really, they've only should have been serving the meat of that goose to, like, their kids.
Yeah. Yeah, but that could feed them all pretty well. They could probably have leftovers.
Look, man. I'm on the clock for the next hour, and then I'm out of here.
If I on the clock, I mean I'm going to turn into a skeleton. Whoa!
Like even, okay, one of the more horrifying moments of A Christmas Carol, and it's when the present opens up his robe because Scrooge sees something and he's like, you know, what is that under your robe? And he shows him like these two children, and it's ignorance and want. And the idea was like, this is what you need to watch out for in life.
Yeah.
Because it's being ignorant of other people's tragic situations. It's your desire just to want more than others that can turn you into a terrible person. And even that they have to dial up to like 15 with like ignorance pulls out like a knife and he's trying to like cut and shiv Scrooge, and then want turns into like a prostitute who cackles at him, and then as the chime goes off, Present starts having like a heart attack and he slowly starts to decay, and it's like,
yeah, it's just...
come on. Like, actually, the part that really upset me with Present is one of my favorite scenes where earlier in the movie Scrooge makes that selfish quip where he's like, aren't there workhouses? Aren't there prisons? Like, why is there such a homeless problem? Why don't we just stick them there? And in the movie I like, the 84 version, it might be 86, it's been a while, but the one with George S. Scott that I like, Present, the way he delivers the line is when Scrooge mentions, like, is there nothing that these people can do? He looks at him and he smiles, and the spirit goes, aren't there any poorhouses? Aren't there any prisons? And Scrooge looks at him, like, angry, and he's like, you use my words against me. And Present smiles, and he goes, yeah. So the next time you do best to hold your tongue and realize that other people are less fortunate than you, and you should understand what the surplus population is before you start condemning everybody. Yeah. And then he gives that great line where he says, do you know that in heaven and hell, this child's life means more to you, means more than your own life? And you're just like, shit. The spirit really talks down. And he says it just by talking down to Scrooge, and that's it. And I like that a lot because it's very powerful and very poignant. But in this one, instead of just being like quiet about it, he has to morph his face into Scrooge's face where his beard pulls back into his head. Yeah. And he turns into Scrooge, and then he says the line, Scrooge looks at him, and then he grows the beard back, and you're like,
he probably just pulls his head back and just like, ugh.
What the hell? What the hell, man? And then like when it comes to the chimes, then Present's just like, and then he starts decaying, and he's like, and then he's a skeleton, and then he turns to dust, and you're like,
well, that was just...
Robert, holy Christ.
Yeah, that was just... I think you have problems, Robert.
If Robert's idea is like, it was meant to scare you, it didn't scare me, it's just annoying me. It's a Christmas Carol.
It just unnerved me in the sense it's just like, wow, that was just really uncomfortable to watch.
Especially because the CGI is so bad.
Yeah.
And then the final ghost shows up, the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, and they have a great idea. He's Scrooge's shadow.
Yeah.
Because like death is always following him. Sounds like a great concept.
But then they ruin it instantly by basically having him not being a shadow all the time. Basically having a CG finger pop out of the shadow all the time to point everywhere.
Almost every scene with death can be summed up with you get it? And like the whole thing, like you have such a great moment where they're standing in like the empty courtyard, and then like the death chariot shows up, and you're like, oh man, like Death's gonna like have him in the chariot, and they're just gonna like maybe ride through the town. So which would be kind of different. Like he could see how different everything is now that he's gone.
Yeah.
And instead of doing something like that, the chariot has to rip out of the wall, and the horses are chasing him. Scrooge is like, Jim carrying it the fuck up like you wouldn't believe it. He's like, oh no! And then for some reason they're like, by the way, do you remember when Scrooge shrunk down to like the size of a mouse and had a cutesy high pitched voice?
It's just the stupidest sort of.
It's the weirdest change to make.
Yeah, it's just filler. It's just nothing but filler. The most useless part of the movie that basically ruins one of basically my favorite ghosts, because it was the ghost that basically had the most sort of powerful.
You know what would have been brilliant?
What?
If one, I know in a lot of versions, Christmas Yet to Come doesn't talk.
Right.
What if it was Scrooge? Like, what if it was like maybe a more raspier version of his own voice, and they're just riding quietly in the chariot, and like as like the chariot comes up to a stop, and you see a bunch of people like like outside the pawn shop, and they're playing with all of his like wares and stuff like that. And like Scrooge is listening. It's like, Spirit, how can these people be so callous? And the Spirit could say something gentle and soft, where it says something like, "Why would they need to care? That person was horrible to them. The best they can get out of him now wasn't a steady paycheck, but now they can get good money now that he's dead."
Yeah.
And you could have had like a very strong and poignant scene with that, and then like the big reveal at the end when he sees the grave, you see that like the Reaper is him, and that could have been very poignant. I believe that's not how it is in the book, but it would have been an artistic difference that really could have had a punch to it.
Yeah.
But instead of this one, it's like everything is like when he shrinks, he goes inside and he sees the people like pilfering the blankets and the curtains, and then one guy starts trying to beat him to death with like a chimney poker, fireplace poker, and it's like everything's dialed up to 11, and it's like him bouncing around and screaming, and you're sitting there, you're just like, oh my god, this thing is just riddled with the desire to try and make 3D effects relevant again.
Yeah, it's just so boring after a while.
Well, because like, since it's all CGI, it's less miraculous, and because the human models look so ugly and like jarring, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, remember the part where it's like they go into Scrooge's house and he's dead in his master bedroom, and it's clear that's him under the sheets.
Yeah.
And there's a great part where Christmas Yet to Come reaches its hand up, and it looks like it's gonna pull down the sheet by just using the fact that it's a shadow, which would have been kind of creepy.
But then he's just it's just like,
And it's like one really bad finger. There's the one part where like Scrooge is standing here and he's like this, and out of nowhere, like Yet to Come is just like, and it's like this very obvious hand sticking out, and you're like, well, that doesn't look like it's out of place at all. I mean, it's just so seamlessly integrated into the film.
It's just so stupid and disappointing. There are just like good ideas and all that, like the shut up Yet to Come. Like there is that one scene was like in Bob Cratchit's house after Tiny Tim dies and all that, where Bob's going basically upstairs. Basically, Scrooge is right here, and just like Bob's just like looking right at him, but he can't see him. Like he's basically just a spirit of that.
Yeah, and I like that because it forces Scrooge to see like, you did this because of your selfishness, because of your cruelty. This father now has to go upstairs to see his dead child. This is your fault.
Yeah.
And like that's a good moment, but it's so ruined by the fact where you're like, Christ, everybody's so ugly.
Yeah.
And it's not an ugliness of like, oh well, it's because they're poor. No, it's just like everything looks bad.
Yeah, like that would have worked a lot better in live action.
Like that's the thing that gets me. Is like because Robert Zemeckis has this weird fascination with like, I want it to look as real as possible, but I still want it to be animated and not stylized because I want it to look as real as possible. Dude, then at least either do like when they filmed the new God of War, they actually had actors on set.
Yeah.
In like, the motion capture suits.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they did mocap for this, and if they did, then do a better job. There's no reason why they could look realistic, that's fine. But if you're going to go to such an nth degree to make them look that realistic for a film, why not? Why even animate it? Like, Rango I get. Like, Rango they did the mocap and stuff.
Yeah.
But Rango also had the fact that they were talking animals.
Right.
So, like, you couldn't just dress Johnny...
Oh, what? It's the ghost! It's the ghost!
It's the Christmas spirit what come to us it has! Even we watching stuff is up at 11!
Okay, come on. See? See your chicken. Come on. Yeah, we're not sponsored by that either.
Or HDMI 1. That was hilarious. That was so funny.
Okay, we just had a technical difficulties. We shall be right back. There we go.
So now that we've angered the spirits, okay, so I was going on about what?
We're just going on about a lot of stuff at that point.
Okay, well that's the thing though, like with Robert Zemeckis, like he wants it to look photographically realistic, for God of War, you understand why. Yeah. It's a video game.
Right.
So they,
yeah,
you pretty much have to animate characters.
For a Christmas Carol, you don't
can just use actors. And the thing is, like, they're all good actors. Like, Jim Carrey is a good performer. Yeah. He can do good stuff. I don't see why you couldn't just get some prosthetics on the guy.
Yeah, just the issues with this movie is just like all the animated scenes, like what him firing off, going to a chase scene for Yet to Come and all that. Those are the animated bits because that's just it does not mesh well with what a Christmas Carol is.
A Christmas Carol is much more of a quiet story. Like we joke about it in the beginning of this, but when you get down to it, it's a bunch of spirits that may or may not have been figments of his imagination, teaching him how to be a better person.
Right. Just a bit of beef in his belly.
Yeah, or a spot of mustard, like he says. There's more gravy than there's ghoul about you. Shut up. No, but that's the thing is like, A Christmas Carol is actually much more of a quiet story about the humbling of a person who was bad, showing you that you could live a fairly long lifetime of wickedness, but in the end you can still redeem yourself. You can still become a better. It's never too late to be a better person.
Right.
And in that regard, there's a poignancy to that. But this thing feels like it's so padded with, like it needs to be loud and bombastic and in your face.
And it's just soulless in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue like, oh, it's the umpteenth remake of A Christmas Carol. I think that's inconsequential because I like the 80s Christmas Carol. I like the one with Patrick Stewart. I like the one with Kelsey Grammer. I like the Muppet version. I like the one with Tim Curry. I like plenty different versions of A Christmas Carol. I've seen plenty of them for a very long time in my life.
And a lot of them have worked. But there are definitely those that don't work, including this one. Just for the reason that we listed. And so, where would you rate this on the scale?
Dude, this is garbage.
Yeah.
This is rock bottom, yeah, because if it has good ideas, it doesn't implement them well. Like the past being a candle, the present doing the whole ship thing with the house doesn't really work because if you're in the D box where your seat kind of rocks you back and forth or something, then you can see where it's like
the visual of it is basically just sort of like it'd be like if I just wanted to like Premiere Pro and all that, just made a circle and just sort of the layer and all that, just like moved it around and all that. It just looks just as good.
Yeah, like it's boring to look at because if you're experiencing it, that's one thing with like D-Box.
But at the same time, the visual of it isn't all that interesting. Like I would have get it if like it was more the floor and all that. But it's basically it isn't just the floor. It is basically just a circle on just the floor and the walls and such. So there's not really any sort of dimension to the actual
and again
movement.
It even ruins the whole line from Present where it's like hold on to my robe, because it's one thing if like Present's taking him all across the city, like physically to places, and it's like you need to hold my robe so I can teleport you. But in this case, it's just like hold on my robe. Why? Because it's in the book, and it's like yeah, but you're just still in the same room. It's not like there's no floor underneath Scrooge either. There's floor still underneath him and Present when they do that scene. So it's inconsequential.
Right, exactly.
And then like Present's death couldn't even be subtle because Present only lives for that time. He lives only for the present. Once it hits midnight, he must go.
Yeah.
And like that, they have to dial it up to 11. They have to have him like having a heart attack and screaming and like
then
decaying.
Yet to Come, they had the idea of him being a shadow, but then they started the CG and everything else in it. The stuff with Bob Cratchit, his nephew, and all that sort of stuff. Like I will just want to say this one point because it's clearly like rock bottom all the way sort of thing. Like I still want to see a Christmas Carol where they don't end the movie with Tiny Tim and all that.
Especially because this one made it feel
so hand-wavy
relevant.
Because what do we know about Tiny Tim? Right?
He's a little kid who's sick and he walks with a crutch. I don't know if the crutch I don't know if him being crippled has to do with him being sick, or if being sick is just sort of a...
Yeah, like, I know more about, like, his nephew than I do more...
Well, yeah, because, like Nephew Fred is a simple character you understand, where he's, like, he's made to be specifically a foil to Scrooge, whereas, like, Tiny Tim is basically there, it's like... Okay, I'm sure you've heard of these TV tropes before. You ever heard of, like, Kick the Dog or Save the Cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, Save the Cat, you have a character do that to show you that character's a good person.
Right.
It's basically there just to manipulate you. It's a narrative shortcut to manipulate you emotionally. It's like Frozen, where it's like, oh, look, Elsa and Anna spent some time together as little kids.
Yeah.
And for that brief moment, you're like, oh, well,
Okay.
there, now you have to feel bad when it happens.
Right, exactly.
It's that principle. That's what exists.
I totally get that.
But I like the scene we see where
Where he basically just comes over and just apologizes to Fred and all that.
he apologizes to Fred.
Maybe part of the dinner and all that. Maybe like.
And I like that too because he comes in, it's so humbling because he says, I would like to join you for Christmas dinner if you would have me. And he's like, of course, Uncle.
Yeah.
And it's them sitting at the table having the meal together and it's nighttime. And then we cut to like him like parading through the streets with Tim on his shoulder and you're like,
No, we don't cut to that. We cut to him doing like that.
screwing with Bob Cratchit first.
Yeah, because that's always a fun thing to do emotionally.
Well, I think that was in a lot of the other ones
no,
too.
that is it. You know,
Where it's like, I'm going to pretend to be a dick to screw with. I'm going to screw with him because this man is clearly like going through so much as it is. It's probably a great idea just to screw with him.
Because he didn't learn his lesson completely, at least. But yeah.
Yeah, but you can put that in the book though.
Yeah.
I like your idea. I think you're when you told me when we were watching it, you gave such a strong idea where you're like
I would
you could keep the Tim stuff, but you said like it should be about him reconnecting with his family by the end.
Yeah, because like a lot of the bits, even in this one, they're talking about his family and all that, but it just feels a little bit sort of hand wavy away, like in past and all that. Whereas like younger sister came to basically pick him up and all that, and she looks like a fucking goblin.
Oh, because like Scrooge like towered over her too, like an ent or something.
Yeah, we just don't really know anything about his family. And then one day he basically had connections to, basically just faded away with time. So he was just left alone in the end.
Well, like they did that great part with his fiance.
Yeah.
Where she said like, she mentions how basically he grew so callous to the point where like he only put wealth in financial wealth, not wealth of like character or emotion.
Yeah.
And you have that great moment where she talks to him where she's like, you know, would you even have took an interest in me now that you're wealthy and I'm poor? And he has nothing to say.
Yeah.
And you're just like, because it's the potential there for the power for that scene is there in the film. It's there in the book.
Yeah.
But like here, you're just like, eh. And then it still has the galled end where it's like he goes to talk to Bob Cratchit, and he does that whole shtick. And then when Bob Cratchit leaves, he just turns and looks at the audience. He's like, and Ebenezer Scrooge got his crop together, and he gave my son some stuff, and it was pretty great. The end, the Christmas Carol, and then the book closes, and you're like,
you know, I can't wave you away. I didn't even know Bob Cratchit all that well. I knew
he's poor. That's all you need to know.
I knew these characters better in the freaking Mickey Mouse version of all this.
That's another great one, and that one's truncated to I think like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And they even had death talk in that one.
Yeah.
And it worked great.
This is simple as that. I don't feel Christmassy at the moment.
It's immediate. It's lame. It really is. It's all, and this is the base criticism I have with like all of Robert Zemeckis' contemporary films, because I love Back to the Future, and I adore. I assure you, I'm surprised. Like I heard they were going to do a remake of that, and he was fighting against it. I'm surprised he didn't come out and he goes, I wish to CGI it all!
And I think after, well, wasn't it like this, where afterwards, like, his whole company basically went...
Oh, no. When Mars Needs Moms came out,
right.
That bankrupted the company, and it just...
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, that's a Christmas Carol.
And it should have been easy, because, again, this is probably one of the most remade Christmas films of all time, easily.
Yeah. Right.
And it feels like...
Every other... No. It feels like bare bones of every other one, but just up to 11.
Yeah, because he didn't know how to rein it in.
Yep.
But guys, we thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. And
tune in tomorrow for another Christmas classic, all that. Or even a new Christmas special that we just found around. Try to guess below what we're choosing next. We got them all listed. You just have to see what's next tomorrow.
And we're building up to something special.
Yep.
So, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays.
Yep, from the ToonGrin Boys here at ToonGrin. And as always, be sure to tune in
to ToonGrin.